Cheapskate. I'm Cameron, and this is the first part in our series where we're building this Skeggs prototype guitar. It's a prototype. It's not actually meant to work. Well, I'm going to be building it out of pine, and it's basically to test out this body shape concept and for me to learn woodworking skills of how to build a guitar, because I don't really have any woodworking skills. So on this journey of me building this, I am going to make mistakes, and hopefully we're both going to learn things from it. I know there's videos where people make stuff and they talk about mistakes without making mistakes. I'm actually going to make mistakes, I know I am, and we'll fix them and learn what not to do as well as what to do. So I'm just making it out of pine. It will have a single pickup, and the main thing about this is this body shape. I haven't seen anyone do it before. I'm calling it the Skeggs body shape because it has a number of Skeggs on it. It has a Skegg here, a Skegg here, a Skegg here, a Skegg here, and another Skegg here. So it's got a lot of Skeggs in it. So I'm calling it the Skeggs body shape. The idea with it is for players who play a lot sitting down, which I think is a lot of us now. Sure, if you're at a gig, you're going to be standing up, but a lot of time now is spent by guitarists in front of a computer because if you're composing or you're just trying to learn a song or whatever, a lot of the time you're doing it on the computer, or you've got your guitar connected to your computer, you're playing and it's going into the computer because you're recording or whatever it is, and you need to be sort of typing and stuff. So you need a guitar that's easy to play sitting down as well as standing up. That's what this shape is for, because a lot of time I found I like to have a fairly steep angle when I play, and the guitars with the rounded bases just keep slipping off my leg, especially if they're heavy. So this one can be played like this. Because of this shape here, I can put it on this leg and I can play it this way. It doesn't slide off my leg. I can also play it in a classical guitar position if you like playing like a classical guitar. I can put it on this leg and do pretty much the same things, making it a bit of a different. This one on my left leg in this position is great for getting to these high notes. And then this is what I call the double bass position for people who want to make a bass guitar with this body shape, and you can play it basically like a double bass, and it'll just sit there. You don't have to do anything fancy with it. So this is obviously a mock-up, but that's the basic thing we're going for. I don't do very well with plans. Like I said, I'm not a good woodworker. All I've done in preparation for this is I've made some boxes with finger joins, and I've made some toilet roll holders, which is too hard to explain, but I will have videos on how to make toilet roll holders on here. Anyway, that's what I've done in preparation. That's all the woodwork I've done. All I know about this is 24 fret, through neck design, so it's a straight through neck, through body neck, semi-hollow body. I want just to lighten it a little bit. I'm going to have a 24.75 inch scale length, which is, what else can I tell you about it? There's not really much else to say. Our radius is going to be, of the fretboard, is going to be 14 inch radius. I was going to do 15, but I couldn't get a 15 sanding block. I could only get a 14 and a 16, so I went for 14.
Okay, transferring over to VoiceOver Man, and oh boy, I wish I hadn't done that. Anyway, here I am holding our mock-up and just removing the neck. Alright, so what I've got here is a pine board which I got from my local hardware store. It is 19mm thick, and I'm not sure how long, probably about 1.8 meters long or something. Just checking the width of my little mock-up, and it works out to be 310mm wide, which is just over a foot. And just checking the width of my board to see if we can get it done in two pieces, and it's 145. 2 times 145 is 290, which means we're 20mm short of getting it done in two pieces. So now I'm seeing where the third piece is going to go. Am I going to do that little bit there, or is it better to do it on the other side? So we're just checking, and it turns out you can't see it from this angle, but on the other side I'll have to do two pieces, a piece down the bottom and a piece up the top of the other end. So it's a bit of a no-brainer to do on the end that's closest to the camera there. And now I'm just checking to see how long the two sides are. Because it's a bit offset, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do is cut the timber and offset the timber, so I'm just not wasting any timber. I'm not concerned at all with doing like a book match or anything like that. not worried about the appearance on this particular build because it's only a test build. So I really just try to save a bit of timber. You know, the eco warrior that I am. Yeah, so... And we're just marking up the couple of cuts we need to do. Now this bench that you're seeing here, I have to do all my work outside because the shed behind me isn't very big. It's about 3 pallets long and 1 pallet wide, something like that. So I built this table. It's not the best. I'm definitely no expert at woodworking, and so when I built this table I didn't really know what I was doing. Okay, so I'm just checking there's no glue in that. It's just to check to see if I clamped them together to make sure there's no gaps and to see how it looked, and it looked pretty good. This board, I picked out the straightest board I could possibly find at my local hardware store, and it worked out well. Now I'm just roughing up the edge a little bit to make sure the glue gets good adhesion. Yeah, so this table, the saw you see is just a normal circular saw which I drilled some holes through and mounted it upside down. And I also mount my router in the same way. I mount that upside down through, and I've got another plate that is replacing the middle to do that. I've made some mistakes with this table and I need to improve it. I'll probably remake it at some stage. So I'm just checking the offset of the boards there, and I realised I put some glue on an area that's not actually going to need any glue, so just wipe that off now while I've got the chance. You don't really have to glue both sides, but I do in this particular case. Generally speaking, it's not required. It is sometimes good though. Sometimes the glue doesn't want to go in an area. It seems to be resistant, and so if you do both sides you're more likely to get good coverage. I put it flat on the table just so that there's more chance of the boards clamping together flat with each other. I don't really have a good system of clamping for boards to keep the gap unified. You can get special clamps that have like a... Well, if you're into woodworking you already know, but if you're not, you can get clamps that basically the boards just sit on top of on a rail, and it keeps them nice and flat while you clamp them so they come out with a good join. I don't have anything like that, so because I'm a cheapskate I don't want to spend the money on that stuff, so maybe one day I will, but not now. So when I first put the clamps on, I generally don't put them on hard straight away. I put them on with lightish pressure, and then once they're all sort of in place with a little, providing light pressure, I then do them up tight. And because I had it flat down on the table, of course I've got some glue on the table, so I'm just using a bit of methylated spirits to wipe that up before it dries, obviously. Alright, we're working really fast now. Must have just had a cup of coffee, and we're removing the clamps. It's the next day. Look at that work rate. As you can see, the boards are offset, and as you can also see, I have not book matched them at all. And one edge is raised compared to the other. This is our QA, Quality Control Inspector, just checking out the board's been put together correctly. Thank you. And you can see here the little bit sticking over the edge. That's that extra 20 mils or so that we couldn't cover with these boards. And I'm just going to trace now. Trace? It's not called tracing, is it? When you go around the edge. Anyway, whatever I'm doing, I'm penciling in the border from our mock-up. Now, the mock-up, the edges aren't perfect. They're a little bit rough. But I'm not worried about that at all because I'm going to basically just, sand it and cut it the way I want anyway. So one advantage to making your own design rather than copying somebody else's design is when you make your own design, you can't get it wrong. So you don't have to do exact lines like this because you just get a freehand carve it later on anyway and just do it the way that you think looks good. So it's a little bit easier when you're doing your own design in that way, I think. Depends on your personality. Some people are terrified by having to do stuff freehand. Okay, and just a little bit of an off-cut timber. So the MDF that I made this mock-up from was just in the shed when I moved into this house. The guy left it there, left a bunch of it there actually, and he left a bunch of these little battens, pine battens there as well, so he must have had some shelves built out of the whole stuff, and he just left it there. So I've just marked out a piece of timber I'm going to use. I'm cutting the end off because that's where the guy had some screw holes in it, and he must have had some shelves or something in one of the sheds. And so now just cutting that piece off. It's my rusty old saw. I do oil the sharp parts, so it still cuts pretty well. Put some more glue on using my finger, which I probably shouldn't use my finger. I do in this video, but I think later on I'll stop using my finger for all this stuff. I'm not sure if it can be absorbed through the skin, but anyway, it's probably best not to do it. I'm using PVA white glue. This is a Sally's one I'm using. I'm actually going to change to Tight Bond, which is what most people seem to use. This particular version of the Sally's glue is not specifically rated to be stronger than timber, and you really do want a glue that's specifically rated to be stronger than timber when you're building woodwork. The only thing you need to make sure though is, well, you don't have to, but it's better if your glue will soften with heat, because that allows you then to fix things that go wrong, or if you need to, especially on a fretboard, if you need to remove a fretboard, if the glue is softer than, or it can be softened with heat, you can then pry it apart without having to break the joint or break the timber. And you can see there's our little section on. I've penciled it in there. It's also slightly out of line. And now I'm just cutting the bits off. So at this stage I don't own a bandsaw or anything, so I'm just doing a fair bit of stuff by hand, cutting bits off. It's more time consuming than if you had a bandsaw or something like that, but it's just, yeah, it can still be done. Bandsaws are very good pieces of equipment that are incredibly expensive, unfortunately. I also don't have a drum sander, I don't have a planing machine or any of that sort of stuff either, so a lot of stuff is done by hand in this build. And just showing there how we're just sort of cutting close to the contours, and I plan to route the rest anyway. There it is, all finished with the saw. And now we're going to move into routing. Now, other than routing a couple of sort of edges on some straight bits of timber, that's for the toilet roll holders and stuff I made, that's all the routing I've done. So I'm a real noob at routing, and I make some bad mistakes here. So with routing, it was kind of counterintuitive to me. Basically what you've got is, there's a couple of blades, sometimes there's 3 blades on it, and you actually have to push the timber into the cut. So the way you actually push it into the spin and into the aggressive part of the blade, rather than go kind of with the blade. I thought it would be the other way around. Anyway, here I make mistakes that sometimes I think, it's easier to go with it, so I just go with it. That's not good, right? You shouldn't do that. You should avoid that at all costs. And we will see a little bit later. This is actually speeded up. You're watching this now at 2 times speed, but I'm about to go to normal speed because I'm about to have a big mistake. Now you can see here my hands are well away from the area because I'm a noob. Now did you see that bounce there? I think it happens again here. Yeah, see that? Just a little bang. That's how quick it happens, that it goes out of control. And look at that. That is a big chunk that's come out of that. Just from that there, just a little bink, and it took a big chunk out of it. It actually did more damage than that, which I will show you later. So it took a little while for me to get confident using a router. I get a bit of chip out just there too. Basically, I was too light because I was really tentative and scared. And I was also, that bit actually was too big, I think too. So I've gone to a smaller bit. Smaller bits to me seem easier to control. But you need firm, I would say firm, confident pressure. And it's also much easier if you have a template. Doing it freehand like this is not the best for routing. It's pretty hard to do it. And coming into like corners where you're touching two bits of timber at once is sort of a little bit dangerous as well with a router bit. It's one of these tools, I think, that the more confident you get, the better you get at it, just because you're firmer and more consistent with your pressure when you're confident. But I was worried about losing my fingers as well and all of that. They are pretty dangerous pieces of equipment. I didn't have gloves on here, but I probably would have benefited from having cut-resistant gloves on at this point. But using a template is much, much safer. Template and a bit with the bearing. Now here you can see that knock, look at that, it almost tore that entire skeg off. And you can see that it's got a crack that goes almost the entire way through the board. I end up later on opening up that crack a little bit and filling it with glue, and then clamped it down.
Okay, so I've got an idea.
Yeah, it almost tore off.
This piece of dowel that I was using for sanding, I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of almost fits. If I actually widen the hole a little bit, so make the hole a bit bigger so that it matches the curve, and then just get on the bandsaw, like cut a piece off, go on the bandsaw and slice it through there so it'll almost match. It'll be kind of flat, and then I can just sand a groove into it so it matches the rest of it. I'm going to give it a go and we'll see what happens. So it turns out my rasp has a very similar radius to the dowel, which was kind of handy. So I was able to do this hole fairly good. So I've widened it out. You can see there the timber fits in there pretty well. So I'm going to mark off a point on the edge here and here, and I'll saw along that part on the bandsaw, and then hopefully we get a nice piece out of it. So I've marked the cut point there. I'm just going to jab that into the bandsaw. You could use a home saw to do this, just sort of mount it this way and cut down through it. And that's 19mm, which is the thickness of the timber, so I'll slice it off there, but I'm going to cut this part first. It's going to be a lot easier to keep it stable. I'm going to do that on my bandsaw. So for me, but probably not for you, it's the next day, and my wholeness, yeah, you can see that. I'll take this off. Okay, so it's a terrible big line around the spot, but it actually follows the line here pretty good. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So that's alright, so I can get the line. So what I've decided to do is to keep this as the body of our test guitar, and I'm going to make a template from this. I'll just use a little bit of filing, bit of sanding, get that to good shape. Still got these little gaps here, they're kind of full of glue actually, so it's not as bad as it looks, but it's not going to look great, but you know, this will be the inside of the guitar anyway, and this will be the back, so you'll see it from the back. You won't see it because this will have a different top on it eventually. You won't see it from the front, but you will see it from the back. And it'll be a reminder to be more careful and use our router properly in future.
Alright, so I'm just having another go at that. I'm using a file. This file has a flat side and a round side. Well, semicircle. Anyway, so I'm using the circular side and just moving it back and forth over the piece and the joint. You just need to round that a little bit more, make it a little bit more concave, semicircular maybe in there. So using the file, try and smooth it out. I thought I'd do this part at normal speed, so in case you're sort of new to it. Spent a bit of time on this repair, even though really doesn't matter that much. It's only a test build, but I thought it would build up my skills at repairing. So it's getting there. Still looks a little bit flat, there's a little bit of a flat spot in there, so I do a fair bit of sanding on it as well. And it's looking a fair bit better now. It looks like it follows the line a lot better. It looks like there's big gaps at the end, but they're actually full of glue, so it's not too as bad as it looks.
Not too bad.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe.